Hi, Mary. So I guess this is your last lesson for the winter since he's going to Arizona. But it has been fun watching you progress, and you've really done a phenomenal job with this horse because I know this is the first walking horse that you've worked with. So let's go ahead and start. So again, I'm going to just be picky. I know you're still working on your posture. Your leg and everything looks good. You could have the stirrup a tiny bit shorter just so you get a little bit more weight in your heel, but otherwise, you know, if you have bad knees or anything, I think this is totally fine. Upper body wise, I would just try to bring your shoulders back a little bit more, lift your chest up and just lift your chin up a little bit more. But of course, sometimes our body parts hurt, so we can't do that as we get older. And again, I'm being picky just with your position, but most of it looks very good. So this is just your warm up as you're going around. And I think you're doing a good job. I know you put some on the videotape and probably some not on the videotape. I always try to walk them slow a fair amount in the beginning just to get them warmed up before we start doing anything with them. But you're doing quite good with your circles. They're much better than when they started. And I see you have some markers there, which is helpful for other people to see because it helps you to figure out where your circle is. Not a lot of people are very good making circles. So those markers or using cones are very helpful for most people just to give them some guidance on how big to make their circles. Now, I know you said in part of it, and I didn't know if you were talking about the beginning or towards the end, when you're trying to get him to stretch out, if you're trying to get him to reach down more, you're probably going to have to put a little bit more pressure on those reins. And then when he gives, release just a tiny bit and then ask for more, and then release a tiny bit and then ask for more until he understands he's supposed to keep it down. If he's not getting it at all, you can do it with the halter pressure and just do it on the ground first so he understands. And once he gets his head way down, you know, if you're doing it on the ground with the rope and the halter, then I would just give him a little treat when he gets towards the ground so he understands that's what you want. You could always give him a cue like down. So that way when you get up in the saddle, if he's confused, you can use the word. And then I would just use more pressure with your hands if you're trying to get his head way down here to get him to relax his back more as you're doing your warm up. But otherwise your warm up look very good. And I also just want to mention, because a lot of people don't warm their horses up well, everybody should warm their horse up slow and just walk it and make sure all these gaited horses can actually walk. A lot of them can't walk because people don't get on and do this. They just get on and go. So that's what the horse thinks his job is. So the more people would just get on and walk, the calmer their horses would be. So here you're going to do your turn on the forehand. Overall, it was very nice. I would just look up just a little bit higher and just keep turning your shoulders the direction you want to go so he learns to follow those. But otherwise, you're doing a great job. The walking horses can be difficult to do some of that lateral work with, but overall, he's been doing really well with you. You can see the muscles in his hind quarter, and he's learning to engage himself. Even when he's walking around in the beginning, he was ringing his hocks some, and he's not ringing his hocks as much because you've been working on engaging him and getting him to use that back end, which has strengthened his muscles so his hocks aren't ringing out as much anymore, which is great for him. So here it looks great. He's nice and relaxed. His head's neutral, his back's neutral. So very nice job for the warm-up. And I want to point this out too because you're doing such a good job, but everybody should try to get their horses to walk and relax and do a fair amount of walking, like 5 to 10 minutes before they start doing anything else. So your flat walk, you've done a great job. He's shaking his head. Let me get my pen in here. He's reaching up nicely. The only thing I would do is some of the times, you know, his head's going up and down all the time, but some of the time his head is going side to side a little bit. So just be a little bit more conscious of that when you're up there. If you notice his head going side to side, just block him a little bit more by holding contact on that opposite rein. So if his head swings to the left, just hold that right rein a little bit more. If his head swings to the right, hold that left rein. A lot of them have their head go up and down, but it also goes side to side, and we don't want too much motion. So We do want their head going up and down, but if you notice it swinging side to side, just block them a little bit. But your flat walk is very nice. You're also doing good on the turns. You're keeping his hind quarter underneath him on all the turns and holding him together. I guess my dog wanted to get in on the video. The only thing I'm going to say here, again, you're doing a great job. A lot of us carry some tension. I noticed that your mouth stays a little bit tense. So as you're going around, just to make sure that's not going through your body at all, is as you're going around, you know, keep your mouth a little bit more open. Take deep breaths every once in a while, you know, a couple times around the arena, but do it through your mouth and just try to relax your head and neck area in here. When we breathe in and we do it through our mouth, it doesn't relax us enough, and the horses don't feel it as much. So anytime I'm trying to get the horse to relax and get his head down, I make sure I take deep, like yoga breaths through my mouth. You know, inhale slowly, exhale slowly. And then, of course, anytime he's putting his head down and doing a good job, I kind of scratch him and get him to try to relax that neck, and then also tell them they're a good boy or a good girl so they understand they're doing the right thing. And here you have a nice flat walk. Again, he's engaging and stepping up. His legs are nicely spaced out together. You have very nice footing in that arena. I'm very jealous. And you're not using as many poles anymore, but you still have them in case you need them. So all of that is just, you're doing a phenomenal job. Now, as he goes around, he does, you know, lick and chew because that bit has the roller on it, and that's just fine. We want their mouth relaxed, we want their neck relaxed and their back relaxed so they can reach underneath themselves and have this gait be comfortable for them. So very nice job. So now you were walking on your transitions, going from your flat walk to the running walk. There his head's going just a little side to side, but that was very nice with your mouth. I saw you take a nice deep breath in and out. I would just do that more often, that's all. But he's doing great speed-wise. You can see a definite change from his flat walk to his flat walk to his running walk. Because a lot of people get confused with that flat walk, what speed it is. But you've done a great job. Because I can see as you're moving him up in speed, then he's getting more head shake. It's not as deep and it's not supposed to be. But you can see him picking up some speed there and he's keeping those legs separated. I really don't see him pace at all during this whole video that you took. So again, phenomenal job. And now, again, you still use the poles, which is great. Because it's good to keep some poles out in case they start getting pacey or regressing at all. But that's a beautiful gait. He's nice and relaxed. He's shaking his head. He's bending around the turns. He's keeping his hindquarters underneath them. And again, your circles are so much better as well. I love how you put the things at the bottom. So I'm using it so other people can learn too. So this was 6 weeks later. It looks like your weather changed a little bit and got colder. And he looks great. He looks even faster in this video with his running walk. So I'll make sure we put a clip of that on there too for people to see. So there's your hind quarter in case people don't know what that is. And that was very nice. I don't have a lot to say this time because you guys have done a phenomenal job. And it's great that you're going down the quarter line in the center of the arena because you work on straightness because many of these horses are not straight. But those turns that you just did, not a lot of people know it. That's Lunchbox squeaking his toy. But it's hard for the walking horses to keep those hindquarters underneath them, and you're doing really good keeping that hindquarter underneath them on all the turns. And for people who don't know, you usually have to kind of half halt, sit back and hold them together on those turns to get through it. But you did a great job. And during this video, you had him in lots of circles, which is good because it helps to get that inside hind leg reaching up underneath him. And so that helps to lengthen that stride, get more impulsion from his back end. And the circles also help their legs to stay more separated, which helps keep them away from the pace. And you got a nice view from the back in a minute. So when their hocks ring, they kind of twist and turn out. So you can see he does it a little bit, but that's so much less than he used to do when you first started the lessons with me. So much improved. And that's kind of in their genes in some of the walking horse lines, that ringing of the hocks. So it's just kind of passed along, but the stronger we make them, the better to keep those hindquarters underneath these horses. Now here you're picking up more speed. So if he stays in shape, that speed can then become your flat walk because he is getting so much stronger now. So what I want to show you here is you're doing really well. You got more, you're getting more speed. And then right when you take this turn, he starts to give you even a little bit more right there. He just sped up a little bit more. So the only thing I would have done there is when he offered more speed and he kept his gait well, I would have stopped. I would have stopped and let him know that that was the right thing, scratched him, gave him a little treat, gave him a little rest, and then went back to work after that. Because again, he is improving and you're just trying to let him know, like him trying to get a little bit more speed is the correct thing we want him to do. And here you're giving him a nice break and letting him walk and be on the loose rein. Again, if you want his head down lower as you're walking for him to stretch out his back, again, it's fine to have the reins long, but apply pressure. And then as soon as he goes down a little bit, release a little bit, but then apply pressure again, and then release a little bit and apply more pressure again. And it'll be a little bit more clear to him that you want him to get his head all the way down. Being a little bit picky here, you started getting more speed, but his head was just a little high and his legs got a little closer together right there because he kind of tensed up. So before you ask for any more speed, if that's what you were doing, then just make sure his head's lower before you increase the speed. You might have just been leg yielding him and then he tensed up due to that, which is okay because he's just in the learning process there. Now, right as you take this turn, he does increase his speed again. And I can tell you thought he was going towards the pace. You felt he was pacey, so you stopped and backed up, and that was a great thing to do to correct him. Okay, so right here you're coming across, and then he speeds up more for his running walk. And that's beautiful. Yep. So that's what we... So that's what we want. So again, there I would have stopped and gave him a break again. You do give him a break over here, but he wasn't going as fast. So when he gets that head down and his back and neck is relaxed and you can increase that speed, he's just going to have a phenomenal running walk. So you've done a great job. You've increased his speed. You've kept him out of the pace, and he's going to get more speed over time, as he gets more conditioned. So again, you did a phenomenal job. So bravo, because for someone who hasn't ridden walking horses, you have come so far in the, small amount of lessons we did. And I hope you have learned a lot. I've enjoyed helping you, and I can't wait to see him progress when he comes back. So this is from the first lesson. I just wanted everyone to see how pacey he was. Here he goes. See, he paced. And then when he speeds up here, he also got pacey. Because not a lot of people know how far you have come. So here he goes. See him starting to pace, tense his back, tense his neck. So he's gone from that to this.